All right, what's going on? This is the live Q&A for affiliate marketing, and I see we got some people in the chat room already. Please let me know if you could hear me. Hopefully, I'll be able to hear myself in just a second, and I think I just confirmed that. So, welcome. Let me know if it's the first time that you're on, and if you happen to be watching the replay later, that's fantastic. Leave a comment just to let me know. Say, hey, I like the replays. I'm unable to watch live or whatever. So today we are going to answer some questions. I'm going to try to just hit some common questions anyway to give us something to talk about. I think sometimes in the live sessions, we lack a little structure. I lack the structure, not you. I like the structure, and we end up with some of the same questions over and over again, which is, you know what, I don't know what to do about that other than just ignore them and let the folks in the chat answer each other a little bit. Because I got to be honest with you, the same questions do get boring to answer. That's just how it goes. But I'll try and pepper in some additional things, other little stories, things that are going on, that sort of thing. So, one thing I want to point out is I think this was earlier this week on Monday. I published a video, and it was on finding keyword golden ratio terms with KW Finder. Which looks to be a fantastic tool. I'm an affiliate. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. They do have some free functionality, and one of the comments that I received from Hari on this video, he was like, Doug, I support you. I like the videos you do, but I have to say I'm disappointed. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Hari was like, hey, I'm disappointed. It looks like you're trying to push affiliate products more. You're mentioning that you're an affiliate for stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I respect his opinion. It was fine. And the big issue I had with Hari's comment was he said, you can do this stuff for free without using KW Finder. So he felt maybe I was being too pushy, maybe too salesy. And he didn't like the fact that I was saying, hey, you can use this tool to find keywords. And his whole point was, if you could do it without using the tool, then the tool is irrelevant. It is useless. And I called bullshit on that because that is not true. Now, people have different resources, right? You may have more time than money or more money than time. But the key thing that Hari missed was, if you can save time by using a tool, then that's a pretty good idea. And I don't know what Georgie's doing back there. She's freaking out. Georgie, what's going on, girl? Come on. What are you doing? So, I left the comment, and I, gave a couple of examples for Hari, and I was like, hey, I'm really curious, Hari, what do you think? And awesome. Hari did reply back, and he was like, oh, that does make sense. If you could save time, that is a useful tool. And that's the whole point. I mean, like, if you can bring like this sort of long process, compress it down to find a keyword golden ratio term, that's pretty useful. So I would encourage people to think about. I'm not saying buy something you can't afford. That's crazy, right? I mean, I encourage people to do things for free if you can, especially if you're getting started. You don't need to use a tool that's paid. You can use free tools. But once you hit a point, or if you happen to have more money than time, which could be common, there's a lot of folks in the audience that do have full-time jobs, so you may be able to afford to buy the tool and save 10 hours. That's worthwhile, right? So anyway, Hari, you did a fine job, commenting, number one, and then coming back, being open-minded. So I appreciate that. So I'm going to hop over to the chat here, say what's up to some people. Let me know if it's your first time on. Justin, what's happening? I see your question. I'll come back to it. Islam, cool. I'll come back to that too. We got J Vlog. What's up? The Facker. I'm doing well today. Suman has a question, and I will hop over to that too. We have the people in blue are moderators, so that's great. Thank you for helping out. They keep order. We have Jaren over there. What's up? We have Duke. Both have been on the channel as interviews. Lucas, first time live. Welcome. We have Danish. I haven't seen you on in a while. And so on and so forth. And we have Waquez. And the cool part with having the moderators also is they can answer some of the questions and point out some of the links and stuff like for the FAQ. And I'll just mention really quickly that there's an FAQ section on Niche Site Project. That's my blog, and I encourage everyone. You may not be able to get to it right this second, but I encourage you to go to, if you're not on the email list, go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email. I'll send you templates. I will point out some helpful articles that I've already written that answer some of the questions that people are asking right now. So the FAQ section is super helpful. Please go read those. It's your leisure. Don't leave now, but at your leisure, go read them. There's 20 plus questions with answers. They're not fluffy answers. Usually, I just answer the question. I intentionally didn't try to make it too I guess, well, fluffy, not too wordy. It's just like you ask a question, then I answer it. That's it. So, really pretty quick. All right. Justin says, I wrote a blog post with a KGR keyword. My blog post is number 1 in the all in title, but on page 4 in the normal search. What's going on here? Any suggestions? So, number 1, I would say if you are on page 4, that means you're in the top 50, and that is exactly the claim that I make for the keyword golden ratio. Probably going to rank in the top 50 pretty quick. So I think mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. A couple things that you don't mention, Justin. How old is the article? It can continue to move up over the course of months. So what's going on? Nothing. That is exactly what we expect to happen. I don't know how old your site is, if it has any backlinks overall. I don't know if you're ranking for any other terms with any other posts. I don't know. I think I'm repeating myself. I don't know how old the site is either. So I would suggest that you be patient, number 1. Number 2, I would look at, if the post has been there for maybe it's published, maybe you published it a couple weeks ago. I would have a look at your Google Search Console, see if you're ranking for anything else, maybe improve the article by adding content that people are looking for. So patience, add more content, and then potentially get backlinks. Backlinks are going to be helpful. Islam says, I started my niche website at the beginning of March. You have 40 posts, and a couple of posts have 0 keywords according to Ahrefs. Have I encountered anything like that? No, I haven't. But I would suggest that you look in the Google Search Console. That data will probably be more pure than the Ahrefs version. All right. So Ahrefs can only I guess they can only pull for those organic keywords based on what's available to them, which is just Googling the term. I don't know how they do it specifically, but if you can get the data from the Search Console, that's going to be more, that's going to be closer to the actual real data there, in my opinion. So I haven't encountered it. I wouldn't worry about it. I would keep, pushing on. Your site's only 6 weeks old, so just keep doing what you're doing. Suman says you have 20 plus KGR keywords, but the product's price is over $500. What do I think? This is a safe niche. Start working. To start working. Suman, totally up to you. For me, Not my thing. That's a little too expensive, in my opinion, for what I want to work on. However, if you want to do something different, that is fantastic. Duke mentions that he has products over $5, and if it's targeted properly, they can sell. So I would say, Duke knows what he's talking about. And yeah, if you want to check it out, you can give it a shot. I mean, worst case scenario, it doesn't work, and then you know what doesn't work. I would suggest that you find products that still fit in that general category that are cheaper. That's probably a pretty good idea. That way, it's not like a total loss. Like if you went for something that is just expensive and you have no other products to put in there, that's not going to be as good. You have less flexibility. You want to make decisions so that you can pivot in the future. Sorry, pivot. This windscreen, this pop filter thing keeps like sagging down. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, it's going limp on me over here. All right, we got some more questions in here. And all right. And thanks everyone for joining today, by the way. Well, I think we can get a few more people, in general, but it takes a little while for people to filter in and all that. And maybe once I clean up the process and these are more interesting, we'll get more people on there too. All right. Moving on. Danish says you're receiving comments on your post from a competitor. What would you suggest? Shall I delete them or shall I approve? Yeah, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong way. So you can approve them if you want or not. It's up to you. Wakez says, how much time is required to be successful online if you have 4 articles related to a specific niche? Duke says, generally 6 to 8 months time and 50 articles minimum. I think that's a fair answer. I was about to tear apart your question there. But yeah, Duke is a nicer man than I, and or me. Is it I or me? Not sure. But I would say, yeah, 6 to 8 months to kind of figure out what's going on. And if you know like the steps to take, then you may be able to do it a little faster. But 6 to 8 months is going to be like enough time for you to publish some content, maybe get some traction, and go from there. And we have I don't know how to say the name there. There's some characters which I don't know how to pronounce. But hello, welcome. And yeah, sorry, I have no idea how to say. I think it's the is it Cyrillic? Is that the name of the characters? I have no idea, no clue. So as I'm scrolling down, I see we got some stuff going on, and a lot of questions here. All right. So I'm going to digress for a second and talk about stuff that I want to talk about. So I recently signed up. I got like an email for a deal on Audible, which is the audiobook company, and I've purchased a handful of audiobooks. A lot of times, I'm a member of the public library system, and ever since I got an iPhone, I think, or as soon as I was able to, I have been using the library system where you can check out an audiobook and it's paid for by your taxes. So you don't have to buy the audiobook specifically. The point is, I got an offer to join Audible, and it was like an annual membership. And instead of, can't remember the exact price, but instead of like $180, it was like $100. And I was like, oh, you know what? I can find a handful of audiobooks. You can check out the deals that may be available to you. But typically for Audible, you get like one audiobook per month, and then it's sort of a credit system. And usually it's a little bit cheaper to go with the credit versus like just buying the book outright. Anyway, the point is, I listened to this book called, I think it's called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Has anyone listened to or read that book? Let me know in the chat there or in the comments. The cool thing, two really cool things on this book. One, the guy is just a badass. It's insane, his story. But it's an audio book. So there's a narrator reading it. It's actually the co-author is reading the text. But at the end of each chapter, or most chapters, um, they take a break, and David talks to the narrator and the writer. So it's sort of like an audio book with a podcast connected to it. And I haven't heard anything exactly like that. There's been one other audio book, the one by Kevin Smith, called like Tough Shit or something like that. And he he didn't read it exact. He would pepper in little stories along the way. So he mostly read the book, like 99%, but he would throw in a couple extra stories here or there. Not a ton. But this book, by David Goggins, they, they have conversations at the end of each one, and they're able to tell stories and other anecdotes that didn't make it into the book. Not that they weren't good stories, it's just there's only so much that you can put in. So, anyway, really good book. If you haven't checked it out, it really sort of it favors like hard work, and like nothing's easy, and you have to overcome things. So, anyway, it was pretty cool. All right, coming back to it, and I'll try to remember. Um, the book also talks a lot about like ultra marathons. I'm not going to give anything away. Ultra marathons, which any race over 26.2 miles. So anyway, I've never done that. I've never ran a marathon either, but it sort of like reignited my interest in ultra marathons, which I'll come back to after we answer some questions. All right. Okay. And Alwayne, what's going on? Alwayne says, you don't see anything wrong with promoting affiliate links. Thanks. Yeah. And I agree. I mean, the other thing that I left in that comment, this is a callback from earlier. The other thing that I left in the comment was there's like over I don't have an exact count, but I have over 700 videos on the channel, and they're free, right? So if this person didn't want to hear about any affiliate products, which is fine, I respect that. He or she or anyone can go, watch one of the other ones where I don't mention a product. But yeah, the person Hari took the point pretty well, and I think they understand. If you could use a tool to save time or do something better, then yeah, it's actually useful. Um, Unbiased reviews, what's happening? Stress management says, did your earnings increase compared to the last year? Let's see. I like right now, I think the answer is yes. There was a year where my earnings went down a little bit, but that's because the previous year I sold a large asset. But things are going fine. And let's see, there's a question here by the person that I don't know how to pronounce their name. What's my favorite WordPress theme? So currently I like Thesis a lot. If you go to nichesideproject.com, you'll notice it looks just a little bit different. They have a new skin. It's kind of like a child theme over at Thesis called Focus, and it's about focusing on the content. And you also may notice that the site should load faster. I got rid of Thrive Architect, which is a train wreck. I had major issues with that. It wouldn't let me update anything. So that day, I made it a mission to remove it and try not to break very many things. So I'm hoping, you know what, I need to shoot an email over to the creator of Thesis to see if I can get him on the channel. I've been sort of watching him over the last few years anyway. But in the last 6 months, he like relaunched, revamped Thesis with the emphasis on focus. And he's, big on getting the content out there, not over designing, not having a lot of extra things, and having a quick loading site. And that was sort of in my mind as I was going through like revamping the layout on my site. So, but that said, I don't really care about WordPress themes. I try and get them to stay out of the way. Oh yeah, Nomadic Yeti says thesis. Oh man, you're on top of it. How did you know that? That's amazing. All right, we got Aaron saying you started a new site and it's not showing any data in the search console. How long does it take to populate? Um, Pretty fast. I mean, I think it should start populating like within. I would give it a few days, maybe. Not. You don't need much time. Anyone else, if you have an opinion, but yeah, it should be pretty darn quick. Now, I don't know if you mean it's not showing up with like any impressions or if you're like it's not showing up at all. So that could be a verification issue, Aaron, but I'm not 100% sure. It should be pretty quick. Oh, and Jess says, Doug, I just ranked number 2 with a KGR term. Thanks for all the help. You're welcome. And um, Jess says that was within 2 hours, or number 2 within 21 hours of posting. So that's cool. Congratulations. And Jess, I know you've been sending me quite a few emails, and I appreciate it. I can't answer every single email unless you're a student or someone I'm consulting with. And I think I mentioned that. It'd be great to have you in the course, Five Figure Niche Site. That's my course. And you should be able to sign up for it. I think I sent you the special link. So if you're unable to, let me know. All right. And after what time do you think the article is gaining the most weight? Well, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to try and read this up. Can you rephrase that? Let's rephrase that. Yeah, I don't quite understand what you're asking there. All right. Nomadic says, asked Aaron if you submitted an XML sitemap and da 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 da. Yeah, do that too. That can be helpful. Joe says, I know Gary Vee talks a lot about the future of audio search. Do I think it's worth scripting one's YouTube videos and podcast around keywords? Um, I think it could be worthwhile to script things out and plan ahead. However, I think you should title it well, but I believe that for the audio search, I have a feeling it's more about quick answers so that if you ask a device a question, they could read like one or two sentences and get the answer versus, if it's some kind of super long, multi-hundred word thing, not going to be the first choice, right? Nobody wants to have Alexa read all that stuff. As far as anything like else around like scripting and like trying to pander, all right, I'm going to use that word, try to pander to like audio search and what we think, needs to be done. I'm getting to a point which I think people that are, been on the channel for a while, you probably see that I'm I'm doing more what I want, right? So there were stretches, especially like working on YouTube. I was trying to figure out like, oh, okay, these videos are doing good. I'm going to do more of these, and just really pandering to the algorithm. Now, I'm not saying that I don't do that I mean, that's what the whole KGR thing is, pandering to the algorithm, right? But the point I'm trying to make is if you're producing content, right, like I'm doing right now and with my podcast, I am realizing maybe it will take longer to grow the audience. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer if I'm doing my own thing where I'm not pandering so much and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to cover the topics I want to cover. And if some people don't like the way I do things, that's okay. I'm not for them. They could find someone else. There's plenty of people out there, and that's totally cool. I can't be for everyone. The point is, I think as far as like scripting around keywords for your YouTube videos and your podcast may not be the right move, but it depends on what you're trying to do. So for me, I don't think it's going to be particularly helpful. Throwing in an extra syllable there, I don't think it's going to be super helpful to do all of that around keywords for audio search. Could be valuable for other reasons, but not for audio search. So that's a roundabout way to say that I don't know. I have no idea. And all right, Tawad says if I target a broad niche and upload more than 800 articles in a year on it, will I get successful from it? My hunch is no, but it's not because of the strategy. But I think if you're asking that question, I don't think that you're ready yet. You can develop the skills, you can be ready for it, but if you're talking about uploading more than one article per day, um, and asking if you'll be successful, you're not ready to upload that many posts, period. So I would say grow into it. I would suggest, why don't you aim for 80 posts in a year and then see how it goes in the first little stretch. But if you try and ramp up that quick, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work for you. And Islam asked earlier about recommendations for PBN services. No, I don't have a particular recommendation. However, I am a an affiliate for the Hoth, and I think they do some PBN work over there, and they have really good customer service. So if you're into that stuff, then you check it out. But yeah, like Duke said, I don't really recommend those. Danish says, "What's my view on a competitor posting comments on your Amazon site?" I don't have a strong opinion. I don't have a strong opinion on that. And I think you just ask about like approving them. So totally up to you if you want to do it or not. It's your choice. JVlog says you have two questions. Is it possible to have too many WordPress plugins? The answer is yes, absolutely. And I think that most people do have too many. I try and run pretty bare minimum. In JVlog, I encourage you to check out the FAQ section where I think I talk. If you just do a search for plugins, you'll see there's a couple questions at least on plugins. Read those, and basically, plugins will slow your site down generally. So there are some that are pretty lean; they don't slow your site down, but there are others that are not lean. They're fat and they suck and they slow your site down. Number two, many people talk about page views. The hosts sell by bandwidth. What would be a reasonable gig per month amount to look for? Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but we could reason our way into it. Um, I think the generally like the good hosts have unlimited. You know what? I don't remember. I'm gonna say usually the bandwidth is a lot. So I would say that you don't really have to worry about it. You could just sign up with, for example, I'm an affiliate for SiteGround. If you sign up for SiteGround, you could probably pick, one of the fairly cheap, like shared hosting packages, and chances are you'll be fine. If you start exceeding the bandwidth threshold, which is difficult, I mean, you have to either have like a really like huge set of data on your site that people are having to access, or you have a crazy amount of traffic. Um, so if you have like huge files and stuff, then you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have that. You should change it. And then if you have a ton of traffic, then you should be able to figure out how to pay for whatever the additional costs are and upgrade your hosting. So it shouldn't be a big deal. Shan says, how do you know if a particular keyword converts well into affiliate sales? Well, generally, there are some buyer trigger words like best and then the product name, or the product name and then reviews. So those are usually like people that are interested in buying. Just in a general sense, if you really want to track it more closely, you can't get a 100% clear picture, but you could use unique tracking IDs, assuming Amazon, unique tracking IDs to see, what tracking ID is getting clicks. And you would have to manage that on a per keyword basis. And by the way, I don't recommend you do that. It's a lot of work for not a lot of benefit, in my opinion. Oh, Eggers is on. What's happening? And Mahmood says, how can you increase the CTR, the click through rate of a blog by changing the title? Yeah, I would say by changing the title, that's a good one to increase the click through rate from the SERPs over to your post. And I would say, you make it more interesting, use some curiosity. Don't do clickbaity kind of stuff, but if you use some copywriting ideas and tactics, then that'll help. All right. And Duke says, don't forget, you hit the like button. That's helpful. Appreciate that. And then and we'll just pause here for a second before I get to unbiased reviews question here. If you enjoy the videos, that's fantastic. It's great if you hit the thumbs up. That's always helpful. Leave a comment also. I think that's even better. And even if you don't leave any sort of question or anything meaningful, you could just put in, hey, cool video, or you know what, I didn't like this video, or your head was too shiny in that video, or whatever. It does look like I polish it, but it's just a natural sheen that you end up with um, when you shave your head. So, unbiased reviews mentions this question: what camera do I use for YouTube videos? So, I have a few, and you may see a couple of them behind me as well. So, the one I'm using right here, typically, this is a Logitech something or other, and it does a pretty good job. It is a little bit higher resolution, a little bit better quality, and better in low light than the FaceTime camera on my laptop, which is like it's whatever's on the MacBook Pro from, I don't know, I think it's like four plus years old, maybe 4 years old. And by the way, I was like, hey, I like technology. I like upgrading to like new machines. But I was looking, and like the processor capability right now, like if I were to upgrade, it's been 4 years since I've upgraded my machine. And basically, it looks like it's just an incremental gain on performance. I even downloaded like a benchmark testing tool to see like sort of how my actual machine, like how well it runs. And yeah, pretty sure that if I bought a whole new laptop, it would it would be like 10 to 15% faster, something like that, without having to pay like, um, you know, $3,000 for all, high end stuff. So those are the webcams that I use. The other one back there, this one right here, there is a Canon T7i. I've used Canon since my 35 millimeter days, so I am just comfortable using Canons. Plus, I had a couple lenses left over from back in the day. And then the other camera that I use every now and then, which you can't 100% see it, but there's one there. This is actually a gimbal that holds the little camera steady, but it's a Yi 4K action camera, and it's like a little GoPro style, and it does a really good job. And the thing is, the audio isn't as good, and I've been wanting to film like outside more, but it's just so windy around here, like almost all the time. There's been like a pretty steady breeze. So maybe in the summer it'll like what do you call it? It'll just calm down a little bit. It'll be hot. It'll be hotter. So all right, moving on. Okay. Rashid says it's very difficult to pay via PayPal. No chances to join the course. Oh yeah, and Rashid, I'm sorry about that. It's just I don't have other payment processors, and I'm only using PayPal currently. So sorry about that, Kevin. What's happening? Stress manage. Very cool. Okay, so there's another question about the gear that I use. So Stress Manage says you started a YouTube channel. Let me know the camera, how much it costs, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know the current price, but the Canon T7i, actually all my gear, if you go to my channel page, look for the little search bar and look for like camera gear, and you'll see I did like a whole, actually there's two videos on the gear that I have because it changes from time to time, but there's a fairly recent one where I think it's from this year, and I show you like that lens back there plus a couple of the others, so definitely check that out. um, 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 um. Okay. And Rashid, here's the deal with the payment plan. And I'm sure other people are like, dude, can't you just accept other payment arrangements? And here's the problem. So, and Rashid, this is not directed at you specifically by any means, but basically, anytime I've done anything out of the ordinary, people ask for exceptions, people do I don't even know what other stuff, but a lot of it was around payments. And I can tell you 100% of the time, whenever I've said, oh, you know what? Sure, I can make an exception for you. It's always blown up in my face. So I've gotten multiple credit card chargebacks by trying to work outside of PayPal. PayPal, it's pretty straightforward, like what you get. They do have really good protection for customers, but they also have pretty decent protection for me as well. So I just, it's easier to work with one payment processor than if I worked with like PayPal and Stripe and like something else. Um, just working with PayPal keeps it simple from a workflow perspective. And unfortunately, like for you, Rashid, I'm unable to accept payments from everyone because I am just generally inflexible at this point since I got burned so many times in the past. Okay. Great. Thanks everyone for writing the questions and answering each other throughout there. That's very cool. Okay. Awesome content says, how long does it take for a rewritten, more relevant post to gain traction? Um, to gain traction. So it's a rewritten post. I'm assuming there's some gray area in this question. I'm assuming it's rewritten and you've already had it published on your site and you're publishing it again or updating it. It should take an impact, or an impact should be seen, I would say within a week, but maybe a couple weeks. If you're talking about rewriting someone else's content and then publishing it, it may or may not get traction on it. Hi, everyone says, what are my thoughts on anchor text ratio? How often do I use exact match? Not often. And I would say be conservative. I typically go for, um, what do you call it? Partial matches with like long phrases, that sort of thing. Unbiased Review says you're waiting for the best method to find the KGR using KW Finder. Cool. Yep. I need to be shooting that video. I think I'm going to release it this Monday, most likely, but next week sometime. Mohammed says you're new to Amazon affiliate and you face difficulty in selecting the niche. Any suggestions? Is the domain matter for affiliate site? Nope, the domain doesn't matter so much. I do have guidelines on that, but it doesn't matter so much. Any suggestions about picking a niche? Um, I would say, you need to make sure that there's a reasonable number of products. It's available on Amazon, plenty of keywords, light interest in the topic is also helpful. So, but honestly, that is something I don't cover much um, in my YouTube videos on Niche Site Project or elsewhere. But I would say, Mohammed, go to Niche Site Project, get over to the blog area. There's a Start Here section on the menu. Click the Start Here, and there is a little bit about sort of just narrowing it down, I think in the first 1 to 2 parts. So have a look there. And then as far as the domain name, it really doesn't matter too much. Don't pick anything that's like trademarked or that's part of another brand or anything like that. Sub said, is there any difference between under 500 and under 500 with a dollar sign for the people that are just listening? Um, no, not really. I'm pretty sure Amazon or I'm pretty sure Google like treats those the same. Equine says, love the videos. Get great tidbits sometimes. Very cool. Thanks for hopping on. Paul, what's going on? Hi, everyone says, you said in one of your interviews that every keyword also has a separate sandbox period. What is the sandbox period for 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000 plus keywords? So that was for the, I don't remember when I've said that, but I have said it a few times. The answer is actually, let me also add a caveat and say, I don't know, that it's unproven. I've never tested it, but anecdotally and what I've seen through publishing a lot of content and working with a lot of students, that there does seem to be like a sandbox for every like piece of content. As far as the piece of content, or sorry, the sandbox for that piece of content based on the keyword search volume, I have no idea, but I would guess it's somewhat progressive and follows along with the search volume. So when you go for a search volume of 10 versus 100 versus 1,000 versus 10,000, 10,000 is going to be longer than 100. How much different? I don't know. I have no clue. And there are too many other variables. And I would suggest it's not a useful thing to even try to figure out. It doesn't really matter. It just means that you could take action, which would be publishing content um, as quickly as possible so that you're out of the sandbox as quickly as possible. That's really the takeaway, I think. Knowing the actual period of the sandbox isn't really that helpful, in my opinion. If you're doing something different, maybe it's super helpful. All right. Oh, Linus is on. That's Echo over there. Alwyn says, comments is what makes Income School channel successful. That's the reason why they ran a competition, telling everyone to leave a comment and choose a winner. Comment interaction is important. Yep, Alwyn. I think I've seen that, and I've seen like they just have a crazy number of comments out there. So pretty cool. And yeah, there are so many videos that they have over there that are just get a crazy number of views. They've grown insane numbers in a short stretch of time. Okay. Pan says, how can I search for good DA websites to host a link to my site? I think you're looking for guest posting, but that's the way you phrase the question. I'm not really sure what you're after. If you want to find websites with a high DA, then put in the Moz plugin, go look around and see what you could find. As far as like, yeah, I really don't know how to answer that question. I think you're trying to ask something different, but maybe we rephrase it and we can answer it better. All right. Mark says, you're awesome. I just started building a site 2 months ago. None of the keywords ranked. And then you checked your site on Uber Suggest and other sites. it shows 0 keywords for my site. Why? Let me read that again. I don't really understand. None of your keywords rank yet. Okay, that's okay. When you check your site on Ubersuggest and other sites, it shows 0 keywords. I don't um I don't know the answer to that question. Um, Mark, either the keywords, either the keywords weren't selected well, um, maybe the content isn't good, maybe it's been keyword stuffed. And when you say you check the site on Ubersuggest, I'm honestly not 100% familiar with what check you're doing on Ubersuggest. And when you say other sites, that isn't really, I don't know like what you're checking. So there's a couple things going on. You could have made a mistake, or the tools that you're using aren't checking for what you need them to check for. I would suggest that you use the Google Search Console so you actually can get the data directly from Google. Hi, everyone says, what difficulties do you face when working with freelance writers? So I would say poor quality, not following directions, and disappearing without, doing the work. Or maybe they work with you for a while and then they move on. So those are the three main areas. Joe says, do I use a service like MailChimp for mass emailing or da 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 da? Yeah, so actually this is a good point. Everyone, if you just watch me on YouTube, this is only just a fraction of the information you can get. In fact, I would say the YouTube stuff is less valuable than what you can get on the blog. Because there's so many, let's face it. I mean, I watch tons of YouTube, um, which is probably why I do the videos as well. But like, there's distractions on YouTube. Like YouTube's trying to keep you on the platform, trying to distract you with other cool videos that are really closely related. They know what you want to watch. They know so much about what you're interested in. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is, yes, I use Aweber, but the thing is, if you that tells me, Joe, that you aren't on my email list. So if you go to nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email, I'll send you all the templates that I use. I'll send you a bunch of other emails that point out interesting articles or case studies that I published on the blog, which I believe, like I said, are more valuable and you could actually get more information out of than the YouTube videos. So the answer is, Joe, yes, I use a service. It's called Aweber. It's one of the competitors for MailChimp. And basically, I would say, there's plenty of different email providers out there, and they're all, I mean, it's a commodity. So you can just pick one. It really doesn't matter. Generally, they're all going to have the same functionality, roughly be the same price. In my opinion, there's very little to differentiate those. All right, Sub says a keyword whose all in title is 0 is a commercial keyword with a volume of 30. Can an I rank on it? Rank top on it? Um, Sub, I would say the answer is maybe. And I would also say this kind of goes back to any question that anyone asks around like, um, do you think this is possible? Should I do it? Generally, the answer is yeah, go do it and go try it, especially when, you're just talking about one post. Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, it's not going to cost you much to give it a try. So you should definitely try it and then maybe you'll rank on top. Koal says, should I go for KW Finder or SEMrush? Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. Both are valuable tools. I'm an affiliate for both of them, and they do. There's some overlap, of course, but depending on what you're trying to do, that would sort of tell you what you want to go for. Quick note: KW Finder is just a piece of a tool that's part of like a suite of other tools. So you can do like rank tracking, There's a bunch of other stuff. I don't even know all the stuff that this suite of tools will do, but there's a lot of capability there. Okay, awesome content is saying it's a rewritten post targeting a more competitive buyer's intent keyword where I managed to keep position 7 in the SERPs for months. You just want to attack the top 5. Okay, good question. I think a lot of people are probably in this position. So just to lay it out, you're in position 7, you've been there for months, you want to move up. So there are a couple areas that you could focus on. It's like on page or off page. Those are the two main areas. So I would analyze the people, the sites that are ranking ahead of you. So whoever is in positions 6 through number 1 there, analyze their site for, I would say, content. Um, so of course on page, so analyze their sites for the on page areas, so keyword density, have a look at everything multimedia, just all, every factor you can think of, number of subheadings, all the stuff, right? Do the same for off page. Check out their backlinks. Where are they coming from? What do they look like? What's the quality? What is the anchor text? And then see what you're lacking and then attack that area. All right. Okay, and Sub says, thanks for the reply on under 500, but there are different search results and different all in titles. If I will write under 500, then its competitors under 500 without the dollar sign, but why different results? Yeah, I don't know. I would say Google each one of them and then see what the results are. My hunch is Google treats them the same. If there's like one or two like different ones, that's probably not going to matter. So you're asking me why different results? I would say that it's probably like dependent on uh, one having the dollar sign and one not having the dollar sign. But you're asking me why? I have no idea, no clue. And I would contend that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. All right, I'm getting a little. We're diving down into areas which don't matter. So put a dollar sign or don't put a dollar sign. Like just pick one and publish more articles. Okay. The other thing that I was going to talk about, to digress and talk about stuff that I want to talk about, which is why we do these things anyway, is that book that I listened to. They talked a lot about ultra marathons, and I've done a few half marathons. Really enjoy it, but I've had a like sort of an ongoing chronic injury with a muscle tear in my calf, and I think it has to do with some technique and not good form, and then like maybe weaknesses in like my hamstrings and glutes and stuff like that. So I don't have like a great running form, and maybe I went to a physical therapist a couple years ago, and they were like, "Oh, it looks like your calves are taking up the effort that my glutes and hamstrings should be doing." So they were like, work out a little bit more, try and improve your form and focus on, using these bigger muscles, not just your calves. Anyway, the point is I really like running like long distances as far as like running over say 1 hour or so, just for whatever reason, just really enjoy it. It's kind of meditative for me, but I'm hoping that I can, run a little bit better with better form nowadays so that I would be able to potentially run a ultra marathon. And there's multiple distances. So there's like a 50K, which is about 31 miles. And then they have 50 milers, and then they have 100 milers. And then there's a few other combinations. But the other cool part is a lot of times with ultras, it's not about like finishing fast. It's about like just finishing because it's so long. Anyway, I kind of like that idea overall. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to blast through the questions here. Just answer fast. Um, okay. So Duke is answering some questions. Thank you. And thanks again to the moderators, Jaron and Duke, I saw in there today. Give those folks a round of applause. All right. JK says, how would I start an affiliate marketing business from scratch with $800? I would find a niche. I would get some hosting from SiteGround. I would probably pay for KW Finder. I'm an affiliate for all these. You can find a link in the description to each of them. I appreciate it if you use the links and use KW Finder to find some keywords. I would probably buy a theme. Theme doesn't matter that much. I currently like Thesis quite a bit, and then I would with the rest of the money, which is probably going to be about I would say between $500 and $600, I would hire writers for the next few months. Hire writers to write the content. All right. Justin says you started seeing traffic on Google Analytics from other search engines. Do keyword tools use data only from Google, or is it that or blah blah blah? I'm not. It depends on the keyword research tool, and you should check which tool or check for individual tools to find out which search engines or where they're getting their data. Generally, it's assumed it's on the Google side. The others don't matter. Basically, you could ignore the others. That's my advice. In your previous question, this is Pan, says, in my previous question, I wonder how to find websites with a good DA for backlinking or guest posting. Is there a search machine that will find the DA for sites on the internet? So here's what you should do. Get the Moz bar, and then you can Google terms, and then the results will have like your DA listed in there. That's what you would do. Sub says a keyword has a search volume of blah, blah, blah. And sorry for the people that are listening. You have a search volume. A keyword has a search volume of 30. The all-in title is 0, but the sites have ranked number 1 or EMD. That's the exact match domain and high DA, but something, something. Can I derank them? If yes, then how? Okay. So Sub, you would want to publish an article that's better than the others and then get backlinks to it. That's how you would do it. Justin says, what kind of plants do I have back there? I got a couple aloe, some cactus, a little palm, and then that is another succulent up there. Thanks for asking. And I'm going to call it a day here. Sub says, is it a good niche if the projects are over 500? It depends. There are many factors involved. And how much do I pay on average for an article? That'll be about $18 for 1,000 words. All right. And we're going to call it a day. Thanks everyone for joining in. If you have other questions, leave them in the comments, and don't forget to check out the Doug Show. Have a great day.